Yeah. Okay. Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. This is very exciting. We are following the rules. We
Yeah.
are 6 feet apart, but we are in the same room.
Same room.
I am here with your favorite, the original, Chris Franjola.
Thank you. Risking my life to be here for a Juicy Scoop. You know, I'm excited to be out. Really, I put on.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It was like a date.
Yeah,
Like
it's really exciting.
I have pool hair, but I have full lashes.
Yeah.
I think I've talked about this with a couple people. I don't know if I told you what
Yeah.
Brandon said to me. That he just looked at me in the jacuzzi and he said, "Mom, I hate to break it to you, but you look 50." And now
Wow.
I am not 50 yet.
Yeah.
Okay, but I go, why? What do you mean? He goes, you can just really see all your wrinkles. And I realized that he has never seen my wrinkles
Oh.
because I've been getting Botox
Right.
since he was born. So
Yeah.
a couple years after he was born is when I started. And so it's just like a witch melting in front of him. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Now, is there-
scary. It's scary for him.
There's no kind of type of underground Botox
There
scene
is.
going
I
on.
have not done that yet.
Yeah.
One person that we know told me, DM'd me,
I heard about
and
it.
said,
I think it's the same person.
like I
we're
know a
talking about.
person
Yeah.
that'll come, and I'm like, no, it's okay, But I did say, I go, well, the wrinkles have come back because of Gavin Newsom. He
Yeah.
says we can't have the Botox people. And
Newsom with an M.
I like to call it
Oh.
Newsom. I just call him Gavin.
Gavin. Yeah.
I mean, he's hot. I like his hair.
It's a lot. It's a
a
lot in it. A lot of
scratchy-
product in
and
it.
a lot of scratchy voice. But
Yeah.
okay. So he, I said, they won't. Like, I can dye my own hair, I can do my own nails, but but I'm like, I used to have someone put needles in my face,
Yeah.
Brandon, so that you wouldn't have to see these wrinkles terrifying you in the jacuzzi.
Mhm.
And he goes, can't you teach Dad how to put those needles in your face?
Yeah.
Do you think that'll be the next step
I
that
think
women
so.
will be teaching their husbands?
Yeah. There'll be a home,
get the
a home
vial-
system.
You get the hopes, because you always see like Dr. DeBro and Dr. Nassif, like, they're squeezing their own neck and like
Yeah.
doing their own faces. So they can do their own
Right.
faces.
I don't think it's
We're
a
gonna
bad.
come to a
I mean,
place
it
that-
might be a good idea for someone to come up with it if they haven't already.
Right. Do it yourself.
Yeah. Do it yourself kit.
Yeah.
There might be some problems. People might make a few
Yeah.
mistakes. Like people make mistakes with hair, coloring and
Mhm.
stuff. So that would be a bad one if you just got like all of a sudden a big
Yeah.
swelling or something.
The other thing I think that's a disturbing thing happened to Brandon today is I think he saw a nip slip on me.
Oh
And
no!
I all of a sudden he didn't want to finish his breakfast. And I go, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And he goes, nothing. And then he goes, like, I had this like one of my big robes on that I got from some show. Oh, my Wendy show. I have this big Wendy terry cloth, but
Okay.
it's warm. So after I made the breakfast, I just kind of did that like Kim Kardashian thing where you just kind of put it off your shoulder, but it's still on my body.
Right.
And I think when I went to go pour him some more milk, then all of a sudden he turned his head like that. And he goes, can you just like fix your robe, Mom? And I thought, it doesn't matter how good my tits still are.
Yeah.
A mom tit
No.
will ruin a child's
Oh,
appetite.
totally. I
Isn't
used
that
to.
sad?
My mother used to come out like sometimes if we came home late, like after 10 or whatever. My mother would come out and and I've got nightgown and it would just completely see through. Not a nightgown, like down to her ankles, but completely see through. And it scarred me to this day. Now that
I
you
know,
brought that
I feel
up,
terrible. I have started wearing a bra to breakfast, but I mean, it was like 8:45. They're not in school. They're doing
Yeah.
their fucking Zoom bullshit. I tried to make them breakfast before seeing you.
right?
They bother me halfway mid getting ready. So I'm like, all right, let me make the eggs or whatever. The full egg sandwich with turkey, egg, cheese, and sourdough bread toasted.
Now, I would imagine with this whole stay at home, there's a lot of these things, probably more so than ever. You're seeing nip slips and things like that.
I'd like, yeah, as if the kids aren't traumatized enough by having no friends, realizing that,
Right.
that I might be the only nipple they ever see. I'm like, I might be the last woman you
be.
see.
Oh my
It
God.
could just be the four of us till
Yeah.
we die at this point.
I know.
But let's get into some fun, juicy other stuff. Okay, speaking of which, this was one positive, cool thing.
Okay.
If you have not seen this yet, I discovered it last night. It was on the Today Show. It's got 20 million hits. There's this English guy, and his YouTube channel is called Tom Foolery, and he's a poet too. And it's this beautifully shot video, beautifully done, and it's kind of funny because I did this like improv with Drake in the jacuzzi, and I
Right.
said, pretend that you're 75 and I'm your granddaughter. I'm going to ask you about the great pandemic of 2020. But his version and I filmed it thinking it'd be this great funny thing. It was so depressing. I showed it to Kelly. She wanted to kill herself.
Yeah.
He goes, he's like, well, little missy, remember when Zoom, you know how all school is done at home through the computer? There was a time when we actually went into class. There was a time we actually went to grocery stores, and now Amazon owns the world, and we never leave our houses. And then I was like, I stopped filming. It was depressing. This is kind of beautiful. Basically,
Pulled your tits out. Have you seen these?
Oh my God. So this is this English guy, which also his child has an English accent too, there's nothing cuter than a child's English accent.
No, it's really cute. Yeah.
And so he goes, oh, tell me the story, Daddy. Tell me the story once more about the pandemic of 2020. And he goes, okay, hindsight is 2020. And basically, he does this beautiful poem with video of what the world was like before, and this is in the future, and he calls it the great realization of 2020. And 2020 is hindsight.
Oh, okay.
And that people were, not involved in their families, not, really not respecting the earth in general, like all this stuff. And that by taking all these times and spending time together and doing things at home and getting like a toddler had an iPhone and all this stuff. And this is the great realization. So it's kind of like a beautiful thing. And then
so he's saying in the end it turned out to be a good thing. We didn't see it at the time, but
yes,
we all got to spend more
and there's
time
lots
together.
of there'll be more realizations to come, but this was the first to make us more like, I guess, self-aware of the
Right.
Anyway, it's cool. It's
It is a nice thing. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but
it's yeah.
Well, if and when this is over and we
Yeah.
all go back to our lives, if we do, I think people will forget pretty quickly about everyone just be back to being, assholes.
I'm going to go through this later. Okay, we're going to get to Lori Vallow. So Lori Vallow, you guys, now this is the woman whose 2 kids went missing in September. Well, September was the last time they were seen. She finally got arrested. She was in Idaho, then she was in Kauai, and she married her 5th husband. The other people were dead. I'll go all through it in a minute, but they just did another Dateline, and they had an update, and thank God she's still behind bars. We still don't know where the kids are, and but there is some juicy stuff that came out, and you were watching it.
Yes, I
and
watched 2 hours.
2 hours, and then I watched it again just to make sure because there were so many weird things about it. One of the things I thought was interesting that they just didn't address is her 3rd husband was this guy named Joe Ryan. And when she married Joe Ryan, she had her son Colby, who is 25 and cute, and he's horrified by what his mother's done. He does not know where his siblings are. He's cooperated as best he can with the police.
He's married now and living
He's married and normal and everything. And
Phoenix.
Yes. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, when my mom married Joe Ryan, it was just the 2 of us. And then they had my sister Tylee. And then his mom was in the Mrs. Texas
that was
pageant. And then he goes, but Joe Ryan was not a good stepfather, and he physically abused me, would hit me on the head, and he also sexually abused me.
Yeah, he dropped that pretty
really like who cares?
Nonchalantly.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know.
And then Keith Morris was like, that's not an easy way to start out life, is it?
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I go, wait a minute. So I'm like, wait, and then he goes, so yeah, I had it for my mom for a while, and then when I told her, she was really upset, and then they got divorced, and then there was a big custody battle with my sister, and I'm like, there would have been no custody battle if police would have known that he's a child molester.
I know.
Like what? So that whole thing was so weird.
Leave
that
it to
wasn't-
her brother to tase him in a parking lot, though. The brother always came, and then all of a
Yes.
sudden,
So then her brother, who is named Alex, tases the Joe Ryan, husband number
Right.
3, in a parking lot, but somehow he survives.
survives. Yeah,
So but they never talk about him.
they never
again.
mention that if he's still alive
So
or been
I looked it
arrested
up.
or yeah.
He died of a heart attack, which they don't say on Dateline. Died of a heart attack in 2018.
Okay,
I think that's very suspicious, the heart attack thing.
why?
Because, okay, so just hold on to the heart attack.
Okay.
Okay, so then she gets married. Let's see. Then she meets Charles Vallow. And they get married in 2006.
But by the time she got to the molesty guy, there was
two.
another husband.
There was
2, right?
One that was
Because she got married
Colby's-
when she was like 19 or something, 18.
I guess. There's one that's Colby's dad. Who knows where he went? He wasn't
Right.
in the picture. There was another one they never mentioned.
Yeah.
Then there's Joe Ryan, father of Tylee. He's molesting and suffering from lasers.
Yeah.
from a
taser. Yeah.
taser gun.
Mhm.
Trying to get custody, even though he's a child molester. No one talks about that. Then then she meets Charles Vallow, who is like maybe 15 years older than her or so. He's like closer to 60, and she's like late 30s. And he's smitten, and his sister says, I need somebody to raise my grandson. My child, I guess, can't. He has autism, and he's a baby. And so Charles Vallow
Now,
Lori,
where did that kid, the autistic special needs kid, come from?
his sister,
So that was the couple
was-
that was talking a lot
yes,
on the show.
Kay and her husband, that's his sister. And that woman is the biological grandmother of JJ. So her son, maybe he was in drugs, or the daughter, I
Yeah.
don't know. Whoever had that kid,
Yeah.
the kid came back to them because no one else could raise him. And then she thought, well, this is like, my brother has like a young growing family, and they took him on, which, is pretty, which you're like, oh, that's a pretty great
Yeah.
thing that Lori did. But everybody said that Lori was like a fun, good mom. I mean, yeah. And also it's like, so now Charles Vallow is husband number 4.
But they're all of them are somehow involved in either the Mormon religion or some sort of religion.
Right. So was raised as a Mormon with her
Yeah.
brother Alex, her whole family. And Charles, was Catholic, but he's like so pussy whipped. He's like, I'll become a Mormon for you.
Yeah.
And at this point, Colby goes off to college, and Tylee, and JJ and Charles, they go to Kauai for a while. And she gets really involved in the church there. She makes friends with this girl named April, and they hit it off, and everything's going great.
They all, which I picked up as I was watching this Dateline, they all have a similar look. Like that woman that she met in Kauai looks a little like
even
her.
though they're not related.
Yeah, they all had like a blonde hair, all
Blonde,
good,
fit,
attractive, good
yeah.
looking. Yeah. I feel like all the Mormons have that look.
Well, they don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, so maybe
they
that's
have
it.
an apple a day.
I mean, is that really what they have?
Kelly has an apple a day.
Are you a Mormon? Oh.
No, she just really likes apples.
Well,
I've never seen someone, we have never met where she has not brought an apple to work and had it.
Kelly, but you can still have it. It's early in the day.
Yeah, it's early. No.
But what? Are you just one, or is there a day you have several?
I think
Oh, okay.
I do think they have an unusually healthy lifestyle. I mean,
Yeah.
I always said Mitt Romney, I couldn't
Yeah,
believe
you
when he was
always-
running for president, he was 65, he looked about 43.
Yeah.
Like no smoking, no coffee,
Yeah.
no Coca-Cola. I think all that stuff, and then they're just naturally just eating healthier.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay.
So just good, clean living. Okay, so then and she worked out and everything. And also I wonder if this was husband number 4. That tells me it's one of two things. Either one, you're amazing in the sack, which is I've always said. You
Yeah.
get 4 men to be like, I've got to spend the rest of my life with you. You must be so good at sex.
Yeah.
Or I have a friend whose mom was Mormon and married 5 or 6 times. And the reason why is because
Apples?
she wouldn't have sex with them until
Yeah.
she got married.
Oh.
Like, even though it was husband number 4, number 5, she still played that like, well, we can't. into the celestial union unless we're married,
Yeah.
and like got all these men to marry her. Like, and the courtships are very short, which is we'll get into that comes back. Okay, so they leave Kauai and they go back to they move into a beautiful house in Phoenix, and she starts having trouble, I guess, with Charles, but she also gets really involved in a podcast.
Yeah, a podcast. I know. That's how he was like a podcaster, and she was
She
a fan.
gets obsessed with this guy named Chad, who has a podcast as well as many books about, and he too is kind of started as offspring from the Latter-day Saints of Mormonism, and he's a prepper. He's a doomsday prepper. He believes like the end
There's
of the world is happening.
20,000 people are gonna
144,000.
are gonna.
And I thought the 144,000. I thought that was the number of people that also go from Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what is up with that number. But the last day on Earth is supposed to happen July 22nd, 2020, which is around the corner.
And the way we're going right now, they might be on something.
I know. Lori's having the last laugh right now. So she goes to some convention, meets him. At this time, Chad has been married to Tammy. They all go, the conventions
And this guy writes a lot of books and stuff. He has a bunch of books.
He's a speaker. He has 5 kids. He's been married to Tammy for 29 years.
Yeah.
She's 49. And, and they hit it off just like, because she's into all this stuff. She starts to be a frequent co-host on the End of the Days podcast.
Yeah.
Lori does. And making trips from Phoenix to Rexbury. And, so then in February of 2019, she goes to Kauai with just Tylee. And she sees that friend April, and she's like, "Great news! The world's going to end in July."
And you're one of the people.
Yes, and she goes, "And I got you on the list.
Right.
You're one of the people." She also, though, has said to people, including her husband Charles, that she's a celestial being, that she's like up there with Jesus Christ, that he knows about the 144,000, and she's got a ticket to go there. But then the other question is, well, if she's like such a high on the like, does she have to have her own ticket? Like, couldn't she just like get there quick? Anyway, so she is saying weird shit to him, and she says, well, also the girl goes, "I'm good. Like, I'll just end my days in Kauai. I'm basically in heaven anyway."
And she has a family and everything, right? Yeah, she doesn't want to.
And she doesn't want to. And she's like, "This isn't for me." She's like, "Oh, I'm really disappointed. I've got you like on the list and everything."
Yeah, like it's a club in Vegas.
There was a lot of paperwork involved.
Right.
I had to call this guy. I had to text 3 times. My heart was beating. I didn't think he'd write
Not only did they get you on the list, I got you bottle service when you get in. So I went out of my way.
God, this was so much work. Now I have to go back, call the club owner, say that you're not going to have your table.
Yeah.
God.
It's like when people ask us for tickets to a comedy show and we get them the tickets and they call us 10 minutes before. "Oh, we can't make it." And I'm like, "Oh, great."
You just looked at that empty table the whole time. Reserved. No, she's still in Kauai, Jesus. She's decided to come. So she then says, "Look, fine, but I'm having a lot of problems with Charles. We are getting divorced. He's having an affair, and he's such a dick. I even did this thing just to piss him off." And she goes, "What'd you do?" She goes, "Well, he was coming. He was away on a business trip, so I called and canceled his flight home."
Yeah.
So he got to the airport and didn't have a flight. And then when he finally got the flight and went to the parking structure where he left his car, she and her friend took his keys and took the car.
Yeah.
Then he finally gets home to find out that she's taking $35,000 from his business account. And this is all in divorce documents and in text messages through friends where he's like, where is the girl that took in the autistic child, like made me so happy, ate an apple every day. Like, where the fuck is this delight that I knew?
Right.
So he's kind of really heartbroken because he was married before and has an ex-wife and a few kids that were not featured on this Dateline, but they were featured on a previous thing.
And the son, the older son who had said he'd been molested by a previous husband,
liked him.
Said this guy was a good guy. Yeah.
Yes, he liked Charles. So, anyway, all of a sudden she shows up back at the house in Phoenix and Kay and the husband, who are the biological grandparents of JJ, are with her brother, Charles, Lori's husband, and they're packing up the house, and he sees her and he like starts to cry and he's like, I love you. And she's filming it like, don't hit me. And he's like, what? I love you. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. Then on September, wait, where is the date?
Wait,
oh,
can
okay,
I?
Yes.
I'm still a little confused about who the special needs kid is. He's from that older couple.
God, I've explained this out 3 times.
Yeah.
The older couple.
Even when I watched the Dateline, I couldn't figure it out.
Charles Vallow,
Yes.
husband number 4.
Yes.
Marries Lori.
Yes.
And she's got Colby from husband 1 or 2.
Right,
We
but
don't
he's
know.
not even. He's already gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got the daughter.
who's Tylee Ryan.
Yeah.
Dad's a molester, but nobody knows about it. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know if she get see her custody. We don't know.
Yeah.
He takes the 2 of them in. His sister Kay says,
That's the woman who talked throughout
yes,
this entire day.
His sister Kay goes, my child had a baby. Who knows what.
So
They
she's a
can't take-
grandmother.
Yes, they can't take care of this child before we go to foster care or whatever. I'm assuming
Would you
they
guys
want
this
every
kid?
relative. They always
Oh,
want a
okay.
relative. Would you? And
But then it's never explained why the kid was not.
why?
Were they drug addicts or?
Yeah, but I
Okay.
assume
Got
usually
it,
it's something
yeah.
like that.
Right.
That they've relinquished their rights or
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay, got it.
So-
Now I got it. Thank you.
But Kay and Charles, as brother and sister, are very close and talk all the time, and they still see the kid as the grandparents. Okay, so now JJ's like 7, and Tylee's like, I don't know, like 14 or something. And so on July 11th, Alex, her brother, who tasered Joe Ryan,
In the parking lot of
calls the police because he shot and killed Charles. How did this happen? Well, there was 2 stories, but basically this is a story that eventually happens. It's her house, separate. She does no longer live with Charles. Charles comes over to pick up JJ to take him to school. He
Mhm.
puts JJ in the car and he comes back to the house. And according to Lori has his phone and she's snooping through it.
right.
He apparently, according to Alex, gets angry, lunges to get the phone, and Tylee goes, oh, this is going to get really bad, and walks out with a bat.
Yeah.
Okay. Then Charles, I guess, takes the bat and hits Alex on the back of the head.
Right.
And then Alex goes into the room, gets a gun, and shoots him twice and kills him.
Yeah.
And this, can you imagine you've got hit on the back of the head with a baseball bat? I don't even know how you could live.
Yeah.
He's got like the tiniest
'cause
scratch,
you
like
see
a nail
police
scratch.
video of him like rubbing his head the whole time.
Yes. And so then, as the police are there, Lori comes back, and Lori's like, yeah, after my brother shot and killed Charles, JJ was already in the car and stuff, so I just took him to school.
You're leaving out the most the most shocking part of the whole story. The brother who shot and also tased was at one time a stand-up comedian in Arizona.
Well, I was going to get to that.
Oh, you
'cause
were?
That's
Okay.
the best part.
That was the best part because they had video of him doing a bad impression of Hannibal Lecter.
So somehow Alex, they just like let this crime go.
Yeah, I know.
Like they're like, nothing's happening with it. They're like, oh, okay, I guess this was a dispute. And the little girl's like, yeah, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have gotten the bat, but okay.
Well, they're talking to him out on the street while the husband's like dead in the house.
Yeah.
And everyone's like making jokes and stuff.
Yeah, and her hair and makeup is perfect.
Yeah.
And she goes, just moved in here 3 weeks ago. Hello, neighbor. Oh,
Right.
dead husband. And
Yeah.
like she should have been a stand-up.
I know.
So then, now this I've heard on many accounts, and then this last one, Keith Morrison said something which I believe is more. He goes, then there were accounts that she had a pool party that night.
Yes.
I want to call bullshit on the pool party. I think that's one of those things that gets told and it's like telephone.
Yeah.
I don't believe that she would have still kept a pool party going on. Who the fuck would have gone? What friend would it be like, oh, your husband just died, but you still wanted me to bring the macaroni salad?
Yeah. And you didn't hear anybody. They didn't
There wasn't
interview
one
anybody.
person that's like, I went there not knowing he died.
Right.
By, the third Marco Polo game, I found out that he was dead. And like, they were still wiping it. Like, I was about to go in the house to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
They're like, use the outside bathroom. There's still blood there. And I'm like, what? Like, that's when I was like, that's one of those things that's been regurgitated and put on podcasts and things that not that it makes her any better of a person, but I just think that like added to the tier of like, that wasn't. But Colby does go over there that day. And she is by the pool, not floating around, just sitting there. And she's like, yeah, he died. And he thought he died of a heart attack or something. She goes, no, Alex shot him twice and he's dead. And he's like, oh my God, this is so terrible, The way she tells her stepsons, Charles's kids, is she texts both of them on a group text. She couldn't even think to individually text them because these two sons. She goes, hey, boys. Don't know how to tell you this, but your dad passed away last night. Just wanted you guys to know. And just getting everything together, just have a lot to do. But I love you.
Yeah.
Didn't call them.
Had a great pool party last night. You missed out.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm doing a Jell-O mold right
now.
Right,
for the pool party.
And that doesn't call their mom or anything. So, but she thinks she's going to get his big insurance policy. Well, he had changed the insurance policy to go to the Sister K.
Yeah.
So she's like, fuck, so she gets nothing.
And she texts the sister that, right? Something about
Yes.
like took in the kids and get nothing.
5 kids. Yeah. And so they're like, well, can we just please see JJ? Can we see JJ? And she's just like, oh, he's busy. And they do one call with him in like August where they felt like, he was being coached or something. One FaceTime call. That was it. Then in September, the September, Alex, they all moved to Danbury. Alex and Kylie and Lori and JJ. And on September 8th, they go to Yellowstone for the day. And that was like the last photo that has Tylee in it.
Yeah.
And on September 17th, the last photo is JJ playing in his like courtyard at their new place on the ring. And on September 24th, she called the school and said JJ's going to be homeschooled now.
Yeah.
So no one's really seen them since September.
But, okay.
So then we find out that Alex was a stand-up.
In Phoenix.
And this girl
Which I've done many times. I wonder if
roll calls? It was called the roll call, the Phoenix roll call.
Oh, I've done the clubs there.
Yes,
there's a lot of clubs in Arizona, but yeah.
And he does a Hannibal Lecter impression.
Yeah, and they show a little video of it.
And this girl that's part of the scene, oh God, she's so happy to be on this Dateline.
Yeah, she was so happy. She goes,
so happy. She's like, I mean, he was funny. Like, God. And then I go,
I love Keith Marston's, he threw some shade. So they show the Hannibal Lecter. She goes, he did a great Hannibal Lecter. Then they show the video and he come back to Keith Marston. He goes, hilarious. Yeah.
There is something disturbing about, I definitely think there's about 25% of stand-up comics that are mentally ill. Some are successful.
Right.
And some are Alex.
Can I also say that I feel the same way about beauty pageant contestants?
Yes,
like if you
and she was too.
Right, I know. If you go back to anyone who's done that, like things like this, where they get married 5 times, they wind up doing something. You go back far enough, there is a video, a grainy videotape of them walking around like the, some Sheridan lobby in a bikini for a pageant of some sort. That 100%. I think that's.
Well, I think it's like that again. That thing of like wanting to be a star or thinking of yourself in like a bigger deal than you are, and especially to do a Mrs. contest, I think is really,
right.
That's like when you do it when you're 18 because everyone in your town did it, or you get a little scholarship money. That's one thing.
Yeah,
you're the third wife and you're strutting around. Sorry, I think it's weird. Okay, so anyway, so we don't know where he is. Meanwhile, we've got this niece Melanie that is shady as shit. Melanie is Lori's niece, who is another blonde, good-looking
she's got the same
girl.
look. Yeah, same look.
She got married young and had 4 kids.
Right.
And was having problems with her husband, Brandon. During the divorce, Brandon says some guy who he believed was Uncle Alex, tried to shoot him with a paintball gun.
Yes, shot his window, car
Shot
window.
his window,
Yeah.
or what he thought was a paintball
Yeah.
gun. Maybe it was a real rifle, but he
Right.
just goes, I don't know, was it a rifle or a paintball gun? Meanwhile, right around that same time, Tammy, Chad's husband, the one that is husband number 5 of Lori coming around the corner, she says, somebody just broke into my place and tried to shoot me with what I think is a paintball gun or something around her. So they just thought it was a prank. They never saw anything. She then goes to bed, Tammy, a couple days later, and dies in her sleep. She's only 49. And they're like, Tammy, wake up. Oh, damn it. She's dead.
Yeah, I know.
They don't do any autopsy.
Nope.
Because they in Idaho, they say, oh, autopsies are expensive. And and he seems sad enough. So they just bury her. Okay. And then 2 weeks later, so now Charles is dead and Tammy is now dead, Chad's wife. So leaving Chad and Lori widowers. Tammy's only been dead for 2 weeks. They go to Kauai and get married.
Like how many people have to die in your social circle before you get arrested? Like I feel like just one is enough to get you. Like I can't believe when I was watching this, I'm like, there's a lot of people dead in their social circle, and nobody's arrested anybody. Like they were walking, Dateline is interviewing them as they're walking around Kauai.
Well, can I just say this? Melanie is, well, we find out she's lying a lot. So then Melanie, so she's like, she goes, and she even said, I mean, no, I don't think it's so ridiculous. I kind of was like, Alex, did you try to shoot my husband, Brandon? And we're like, no, that's ridiculous. So no, I don't think that's the case. And Keith Morrison's like, well, did you ever see the kids when you went to go see her a few weeks ago? And she goes, no, but I mean, Tylee was busy with friends and I just figured, yeah. And what about when they did the wellness check to try to find the kids and the very next morning they were gone and in Kauai? I believe that was planned for a long time. I mean, it's just like, no. Meanwhile, Melanie went on some Mormon app and met her husband, Ian. And after meeting 2 weeks later, they go to Las Vegas and get married.
Yeah.
Also in late Las Vegas, getting married at the same time. This is after Chad and Lori have gotten married and Tammy is dead. Uncle Alex marries some chick in the whole prepper group, dead prepper group, whatever, named Zunella, and they get married.
Yeah.
And then 13 days later, Alex dies.
Alex dies. Yeah, he's another one. Yeah.
And again,
they said he had a heart attack or something.
Yeah, again,
right?
Melanie was like, yeah, I talked to him a couple days before and he was having trouble breathing. And I think the heart attack of Tammy and the heart attack of Alex and the heart attack of Joe Ryan
all
even.
from the same thing.
I think that's all the same thing, some type of drug or something that slows your breathing, makes you die, looks like a heart attack or die in your sleep. I'd like to know more about Joe Ryan's death, who is husband number 3. So Alex is now dead. And they take off to Kauai now, and they get a condo, Chad and Lori, and they say, we have no kids and no pets. So they rent to them. And that's when they see them. And still, people are like, this is when the world is going crazy. How are they not arrested?
Yeah.
Like, where are these kids? They won't say where they are. Finally.
But they also, didn't they buy wedding rings on
Yes.
Amazon like 2 weeks before?
Before Charles.
The woman was died.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, before Charles. No, Charles died.
Before the wife, yeah.
Before Charles died, but he still had an Amazon account.
Yeah.
So Lori went on the Amazon account and bought 2 wedding bands. Not expensive, but 2 wedding bands.
Yeah.
Put it on his account. Had them sent to her place in Danbury, Idaho. And they arrived 17 days before Tammy died in her sleep.
Yeah.
And then they wore those rings on the beach. And he's asking Melanie, don't you think it's strange that they got married so quickly after?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, sometimes you just know. Well, then she married her second husband 2 weeks after she met him. And Melanie and Ian are married. And Ian's wife is like, what the fuck's going on here? You're with this niece of Lori Vallow. They have this weird cult thing. There's all these accounts saying that they believe in like zombies and the afterlife, and people are being, Like they thought,
There's a lot of them saying the zombies have entered the body of that person,
and
you
there's
gotta,
several demons, and they said that the demon that entered Charles Vallow, his name was something Schneider.
the demon was called it Rob Schneider.
It was something Schneider. I
Yeah.
wrote it down. He was. They said, "Oh, there's his name. He's been possessed by this." So, Ian goes to the FBI with his ex-wife. He wears a wire, and he talks to his new wife Melanie for like 2 weeks, getting information from her.
Yeah.
He finally comes clean, and he's like, "Look, I've been working with the FBI," but before he does that, he does like a whole little like college essay on it and writes out all the facts that she said and gives it to the FBI, which then Dateline got. And in that, we finally get the scoop. Melanie, who's been sitting there with these interviews were done before this FBI, information came from the husband. She says that that they said that that Lori said that Alex would do anything for her, that Alex needs to put a shot in Charles, that both the kids are possessed by demons,
Yeah.
that they're going to be zombies, that Tammy was possessed, Chad's wife, by a demon, that she should have died in a car accident,
Yeah.
but never did. And so he felt after that car accident that a zombie had taken over her, and the only way to release that is to die. So with all that information, then they finally, Lori was already in prison, but then they took, and now I think he's arrested too, Chad.
So they arrested her. She's in jail.
She's in jail, yeah.
And they arrested Chad and exhumed the body of the wife.
Right.
And they're going
Tammy.
to do tests on it.
Yes.
See if there's toxicology or whatever. But have they gotten any results back from that? Like
that I know. I don't know that
Yeah.
they have, but obviously, I mean, I think would be hard to prove too. But I mean, clearly these kids are dead. Alex probably did it.
Do you
I think
do you
Alex-
believe that they're dead? Do you believe clearly they're dead?
100% there's dead.
Yeah.
There's no way they could be like living and surviving this long as children, like in Yellowstone somewhere.
Right.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So the kids are for sure dead. I think Alex did it.
You think the brother did it?
Yes, I think the brother and her could have some weird relationship. Maybe not sexual, but like almost like, is he like not bright?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Like
he's definitely not
I think he
bright.
has like a low IQ.
Yeah.
And that she could always manipulate, and she was like the only family he had. The fact that he gets married to this woman who's part of the group, probably his only girlfriend ever in his life.
Yeah.
At like mid-40s is weird. And that she was part of it, and then he suddenly dies. I think he died because the heat was coming on, and Lori says to Zenula or whatever, his new wife, like, kill him because they're gonna find out that he killed Tylee and
Yeah.
Charles. Well, and JJ, and
Wouldn't it be amazing if the two kids were eaten by Carol Baskin's tiger? It would all kind of wrap up perfectly. What? How? Who? How did that happen?
that's what I think.
So,
and I don't know that we'll
but
ever
what-
know the truth. I think she's going to be like, well, at least I'm going to hold out to
they'll
July.
find, but aren't there?
She's not going to say anything until July 22nd.
Okay,
When July 22nd comes and goes,
and it's not doomsday.
and it's not doomsday, then maybe, and she's been sitting in a cell and not having any communication with Chad, maybe then she'll like finally go, fuck, and come to her senses.
So who
and-
is investigating this case? Because I didn't see anything about text messages between. A lot of times you'll see something between Chad and this woman before
I mean,
the wife.
I think
There
there's
w-
probably so much they literally couldn't fit it all in, or they didn't have access to it.
Right. Because there's always text messages between people before they hook up, or
Right.
So there has to be
Yeah.
some sort of or pinging of cell towers or things like that. I'm not hearing anything about any of that kind of stuff.
So this is my prediction.
Do you want to say like the rest on Patreon or something, or no?
No, I think we'll finish this, and then maybe like the stuff we did before, I'll just throw or split up.
Okay.
Because this is all like I want for the. This is my prediction. Okay.
Okay.
There won't be any court stuff that happens. No trial will begin. No jury selection. Nothing will happen because of the pandemic before July 22nd. July 22nd comes and goes. The world did not end. Now her reality is setting in that she's going to spend the rest of her life here.
Yeah.
And the bus is not picking her up with 144,000 people and taking them to the VIP room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And then she's going to be like, Chad put me up to this, because she really wasn't weird
Yeah.
until she got involved with Chad. And so then,
So what is what is she being held on currently? What is the charge? Attempted murder? I don't know.
I think right now it's just severe negligence of children that they're
Yeah.
missing, and she's not saying where they are.
Right.
And she was the guardian, and she was,
I mean, it's just crazy stuff.
and so then she'll say, I was under this thing and Chad told me to do all this, or she'll say Chad and Alex got me involved. Alex did these things without me knowing. Alex killed Joe Ryan without me knowing. Well, Joe Ryan, they're never going to find out about. I just think Joe Ryan I think there's something shady with Joe Ryan. They won't even deal with Joe Ryan. They're like, we've got so much. Who even cares?
He's 3
like as
deaths.
a prosecutor, who cares?
Way back.
But she'll say, I had nothing to do with Charles dying. And now I look back and I'm like, I think Alex was like weirdly, he was the one that thought he was possessed. And Chad, killed his wife without me knowing or anything.
Yeah.
What about those rings? I just bought the rings because I wanted, who knows what she'll say about the stupid rings. And then she'll just all blame it on Alex.
Right.
And this cult that she was sucked into, and hope to get some kind of leniency in that she was like under a cult spell.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, it's a fascinating story. I just don't understand who the cops or detectives are who are investigating. I feel like there's a lot of things that are being left out.
Well, it's like, when it's different states, which is I've always wondered about, whenever you see, like, this always bothered me about, like, cop movies and stuff, when it's like, this is my case.
Yeah, this is our jurisdiction.
Yeah, my
right,
jurisdiction.
right.
We don't want the FBI involved. Get them the fuck out of my office.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, why wouldn't you want the help?
Right.
Like, aren't you just getting paid no matter whether you solve the case or not?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you get a bonus. Like, why wouldn't you want all the help you could get? So I kind of think by crossing all these different state lines is where things really got lost.
I mean, if you kill 2 kids, there's tracks somewhere. You bought like you always say, you bought grocery bags at 2:00 in the morning at a 7-Eleven to put their bodies in.
Yeah.
There's something somewhere where these kids are.
Yes.
Nobody just disappears without a trace. It's very, very rare.
Or Tylee could have died before JJ. Like, they
Okay.
could have gotten rid of Tylee first. JJ wouldn't know. He's special needs. He was 7, but was like a 4-year-old. And so, because we still saw JJ, and then they're like, okay, now we have to do JJ. And then
Right.
they left, and then she called the school
But
so that the school wouldn't be alerted, and that would buy her some time.
Yeah,
Like-
but how did they murder them?
Probably
There's
just
something.
smothered them or something.
Okay, but
smothered them and then buried them, and so buried them and put some type of thing so that the zombie couldn't come out or something.
you Schneider, the zombie Schneider. But they did say that the demon had a name, which is very strange.
It was
Yeah, I know,
Phil
but
Schneider or
Yeah,
something. It was
but
like
how did you realize demons had names? And then
there's more than one. It's not just like one devil. There's like
Yeah.
different ones that take over people and then they have to die. So that's what I think is going to be the whole thing.
it's all fascinating. Good story though.
Really is.
It was a good 2020.
Okay. Wait,
I think
you
also
wanna, wait, well, let's just pause. Wait, oh, no, you don't have to pause. But what were you going to say?
I don't know if it's Keith Morrison. I love the guy, but he is starting to look like
I know.
Yeah.
I should show him to Brandon.
yeah, I know.
You think I look bad?
It's so unbelievable.
But you know what? He's an old guy. And
Yeah,
and he
yeah, I like the
lives
fact
in
that he just-
Laguna. He walks around the beach, and he obviously he doesn't.
But he looked very orange in this episode. Like, I think that because of the pandemic, nobody has makeup artists anymore. So I think he might have been doing it himself. And
No, this was done before the pandemic. He was in front of the people.
he was.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I guess he was.
I think a lot of those interviews were done quite a few months ago.
Yeah.
And then this latest bombshell happened with niece Melanie's new husband providing that information, which then really got them to not only keep Lori in prison but arrest Chad.
Right.
That was why they put this out now, because they finally had something new to add to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do. So Chris and I talked for a little bit longer. We got into some Harry and Meghan scoop, as well as Carol Baskin and 90 Day Fiance. And that's all going to be on Thursday. So don't forget to watch my Thursday episode, which will be so much more juice. You won't even know what to do with your afternoon.